Welcome to Ultimate Wrestling Trivia, the show on YouTube where we drop a brand new show each and every Tuesday. We appreciate your support, your views, your likes, your comments by smashing that notification bell. It goes a long way with all the crazy content that we bring you each and every Tuesday. Don't forget, we are on the Pro Wrestling Tee Store as well, where you can scoop up some merch and support the channel as well. Check out everything we got going on over there. Plus, we are on the social media sites. We are on the X, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Facebook, all over the place. All you have to do is search Ultimate Wrestling Trivia. All right, with that being said, we got a special episode where it's story time, baby, with a few of the folks up here on the panel. Mr. Mike Merck, way down there. The man in the middle, Angelo Stefano. My name is Devon. All right, I've been so excited. I've been geeked out for this episode for quite some time. We've said it a few times during our 50-plus episodes that we've dropped already so far. We all know that Mike Merck took part and helped train Mr. Anderson, Mr. Kennedy. The man in the middle here, Angelo Stefano, has got some stories. Was trained by none other than Mike Shaw, a.k.a. Bastion Booger, one of the greatest gimmicks of all time. And me, I'm just like this super fan that's got some stories, but I can't tell any of those stories. But if you see me out and about, I can tell you maybe one or two of the stories. With that being said, it's story time with Mark and Stefano, baby.
Well, let me tell the people out there in TV land or YouTube land, whichever it may be, about the first time superstar Mike Mercury met Angelo Stefano.
Yes, take us back. What year is this?
This is August 1998 in a city called Manitowoc, Wisconsin. There was a huge wrestling spectacular some genius mastermind decided to put on in his hometown of Manitowoc. And on that show, I was performing as Jim Elway.
Wow, how original.
Mountain Brawler.
The Rocky Mountain Brawler, and I can thank Mike Shaw for that gimmick.
How did that come about?
Well, funny story.
Yes.
When I was training with Mike and he started to bring me to independent shows, and I was working my way up to being his manager.
I'm going to add some context here. Mr. Stefano was a student at Northern Michigan University.
Okay.
Which is
home of the what?
Wildcats.
Wildcats. Okay.
And Mike Shaw was in Scandia, Michigan, which is a little town, hop, skip, and a jump away from Marquette, near the very top of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
So the mega forces are so close to each other, they're gonna combine.
And Stefano is a native cheesehead, and in 1996, 1997, the Green Bay Packers went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Won the Super Bowl in 96. Brett Favre, Reggie White over the New England Patriots. But the following year, they lost to John Elway, the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
It still haunts me to this day.
So I just wanted to provide... time and context matter a little bit. So
yes,
sorry for interrupting, Mr. Stefano.
And if Mr. Shaw has a voice, please do that voice. If you
this is about as good as my impersonation gets of Mike. He had a rather high voice for a large man. Anyway, I decided I was the person that ran this wrestling show in Manitowoc in 1998, and I had not met Mike before, but since it was my show, I was going to make my hometown debut as Jim Elway, the Rocky Mountain Brawler. Mike Shaw had told me that. He's like, yeah, well, the Broncos just beat the Packers in the Super Bowl, and if you're his cousin, that'll make people mad here in Wisconsin. So we went with it.
Brilliant.
It was what it was. And on the day of the show, I had rented the ring and also had gotten 8 wrestlers from the person that rented the ring to me.
Where'd you rent the ring from?
From a guy named Rich Finke.
Okay.
Out of Milwaukee. And he ran shows and rented his ring. And one of the wrestlers was this man, and I had never met him, but I had asked Mr. Finkia who would be a good opponent for me. A very short match. I wanted to establish myself, and then later on in the show, I was going to face my mentor, Bastion Booger, in a match.
Okay.
So, superstar Mike Mercury was my opponent, and I remember saying, now real quick, like 4 or 5 minutes, and basically I was so tough and in such phenomenal condition that it took me no time at all to paintbrush the kid. I said, don't worry, kid, I'll take it a little easy on you.
Listen to me.
You know, and that was the first time we met. And if I recall, that was the first time, and if Mike cares to elaborate on this, that's his prerogative. That was the first time you made a certain amount of money for a show, I believe.
It was. So Rich Finke was partners with Dave Hero, and they ran Great Lakes Championship Wrestling. I wrestled for them quite frequently. Oftentimes I tagged with the now Raw general manager Adam Pierce on their events. Rich was a tag team wrestler himself, had many matches against him and his partner. They were called the Southern Mississippi Militia. They worked for Windy City Wrestling out of Chicago. And I remember getting a phone call from Rich saying, hey, I have a booking for you. It's not too far from you. I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The show was in Manitowoc, which is like 40 miles south. I was like, oh, that's phenomenal. You got to remember, this is 1998. It's before the internet.
Yep.
And so you got connected with promoters and things like that through word of mouth. And that was very common at the time. I can remember getting phone calls when I started running shows in 99, 2000, 2001. Oh, yeah, hey, Mike, this is Mike Shaw, Bastion Booger, and I want to know if I'd be able to, come down to Green Bay and I'll work for you. That'd be good, yeah. And
that's the way it was.
That's the Upper accent of Mike Shaw. But so I was excited, and if I recall, I think it was the first show I made. It was the first show I ever got $100 bill. It was probably my 40th match.
Okay.
I was paid $100 or maybe even $150 or $125. And I remember photocopying the $100 bill.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And that went into my little scrapbook that has like 10 things in it.
Okay.
From my first couple of years in the business, but that was one of them that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
And interesting side note to the pay amount that Mike received that day, I decided that the minimum I was going to pay a wrestler on that show was $100. I had brought Bastion Booger in for that show. I brought in Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler. He performed as Brooklyn Brawler and then also Doink, the clown.
A little 2-in-1 action there.
And then also Harvey Whippleman I brought in, and Harvey was fantastic. Downtown Bruno.
Yes, got to read his book.
Yeah,
shout out to Bruno.
He was awesome. He was such a great guy. Loved having him there. So anyway, I'm on the phone with Rich Finke when I'm discussing how many wrestlers to book and how much, and I said I'll pay everyone $100 each. And there's this pause on the phone. And he goes, you can pay them like $30, right? And I said, no, I'll give everyone $100. I wanted to be generous. I wasn't even paying off the house or pre-sale of tickets or anything. That was just my idea. So after I told him, no, I'll pay everyone $100, there's another pause on the phone, and then it's like, well, okay, then we'll see you on the 2nd of August. And that's how that came to be. That was the first time Mike and I met each other. I always kind of look back at that and laugh, not only how young and foolish I was, thinking I could put on this super show. And in August in my hometown, and I thought, I'll draw like 600-700 people. I believe the gate that day was about 175, give or take. I did not become rich off that show, to say the least, but it was a good experience. I learned a lot by failing that day, like failing by not making any money.
And I'm going to add, not to pile on, but what would you say the capacity of this hockey arena that the show was in? This was not a mom and pop, low ceiling.
Shove them into the sardine can kind of thing. It was spread out.
This was a legitimate hockey arena.
It took place at the Manitowoc Ice Center, and we had
2,000, 1,500.
Well, the chairs, I think I rented 300 chairs, and then there were also bleachers. So like, theoretically, there could have been 2,500 people there.
In your mind, that's what was going to happen.
That's about what was going to happen.
So in my brilliant mind, I'm like, I'll probably get a sellout, No, I look back and laugh now. I wasn't necessarily laughing then.
We got a text coming in from the producer. He wants to know, ask Stefano, how was catering for your show?
Well,
was catering good? Or
catering's another good story. I don't know if we told this on the show before. Maybe we did, but for catering, I went to a local pizza establishment and I purchased, I believe, 10 extra large pizzas. And
that sounds awesome, right?
That sounds really good. Wish we had pizza.
We're recording this at lunchtime.
Yes.
In the locker room, I put the pizzas down. I told the boys to help themselves, and Mike Shaw and his children were there, and they went over and took first dibs on the pizza. And Mike had a healthy appetite. Mike had a healthy appetite.
How big is Mike for people that may not know? 3, 4?
He was probably 400 pounds.
400 pounds, okay.
At that time, very large man, and between him and his kids, about half of catering disappeared.
No.
And one of the wrestlers, a friend of Mike and mine, Adrian Lynch, was sitting in the locker room observing this, and he said, there goes catering, or something to that effect. I
was going to reach in there for a piece of pizza, but I was afraid I was going to lose a finger, because the way, you had Booger and Son of Booger over there just shoveling that in.
Son of Booger, that sounds like a t-shirt. I love it.
I didn't put out the fanciest spread, but I felt I had to do something. I had one cooler full of soda and water, and I had another cooler full of beer for the boys, for those that weren't driving. And I thought, that should take care of it. In hindsight, I should have done a little more or had some variety. But live and learn. That was my one experience of running my own professional wrestling show. I happened to meet this man who I became very good friends with. And
who went over? Who won the match?
I told you I did.
You won the match.
4 minutes. Like 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
Just would you finish him with? A bear hug?
DDT.
DDT. Okay.
DDT, and that was it. He could not kick out. He was done for the day.
Are there any other names that pop in your head that were on that show, or like that you reminisce about, like where they are nowadays, or no?
Referees on that show were future pro wrestlers. They were pro wrestlers in training.
Okay.
Jan Jones
of
the Milwaukee area. And the wrestler that would go on to become the Love Machine, Matt Longtime.
No kidding.
Who I managed for many years.
Yeah. So Matt is a guy, he's done
GQ centerfold,
WWE extra work, like 40, 50 times, he was...
Rock and Randy was on that show.
Okay.
Rock and Randy of WWE.
He was Jerry Fox.
Jerry Fox,
yeah.
Was Eric Freedom on that show?
Yes, Eric Freedom was.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric Freedom was on that show. Eric Freedom, another outstanding wrestler. And the matches were great, except for mine. Mine weren't the best. I admit
the drizzling.
Let's just say a little green.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know what I was doing, even though I thought I did. But yeah, no, everybody else was great, and it was actually a good experience, and I'm very, very glad I did it. But that was, if you ever want to run a wrestling show, kids, make catering a little bit better than pizza and beer and soda.
There you go. I love it. Any other memories of that lovely night? I was going to say fateful night, but from you?
The wrestling business, has many sayings, and one of them is, if you want to make $5,000 promoting a show, spend $10,000. Because that is pretty accurate. If you want to make $1 million, spend $2 million, because that's usually how that can work sometimes. And to let the people in to shed some light on this, how many wrestling shows did you promote after this one, Mr. Stefano?
Zero.
Okay.
So
enough said then.
Promoting is not for the faint of heart. No.
Okay. It is story time with Stefano and Mike Merck on Ultimate Wrestling Trivia. The story time continues. Any fond memories from your wrestling career, or you could take us back in a moment of time for you at all, Merck? Any one of you guys?
Do you remember when Mike and I would wrestle each other a few more times in the year following that show? One of those times was in Fond du Lac, and one of us forgot to finish. Do you remember that?
Oh, no.
I vaguely...
It seems like you forgot the match completely. So
I think the finish ended up being a sit-down powerbomb.
It did.
Okay.
Because
how did you guys come up about that, like, for a finish?
Kick to the gut powerbomb.
That's what it was, eh?
Tiger bomb or tiger driver.
I was defeated that evening.
What is the record between you guys? Do you guys know what the win-loss record is by chance? Roughly?
Yeah, I believe it's Merck 4, me 1.
4-1.
I think.
Yeah, okay.
That's very possible.
And it might be 7-1 if you include tag team matches, because we did a few tags against each other.
Okay.
There was over the years, Mr. Stefano has become a very good friend and a traveling partner of mine to baseball games and things of that. And oftentimes when we're going to an event like that, we'll have other wrestlers, current, former wrestlers with us hanging out. And Stefano will mention, I beat Merck in 4 minutes once.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I remind him, well, that's $2,500 an hour. That is my going wage. And I am available. I am happily retired from wrestling for many years.
That's amazing.
I do sound, I ring announce, I've refereed as recently as 2 weeks ago. However, I will gladly get pinned for $2,500 an hour. Yes.
Yeah. What happened in that match I was referring to was, for whatever reason, I drew a blank halfway through, and I wasn't hurt. I didn't hit my head.
Not concussed or nothing?
Nothing. We were going through the match, and everything was going, I thought, pretty well. And then someone turned off the lights upstairs on me. And I remember looking at him going, hey, what are we going to do? And I think Mike saw my face and thought, well, I don't think he remembers or knows. So that's when Mike called an audible and kick to the gut, tiger bomb. Okay.
Do you guys remember what the original finish was? Like, after you went to the back, you go, oh my gosh, like, that's...
For some reason...
Does anything pop up in the memory at all? No.
Something like... something involving a chair.
Okay.
Like,
probably.
It might have been a chair propped in a corner, and he was going to whip me into it, and then, like, Irish whip reversal, and he hits the chair, perhaps. Right. Like, and then maybe the chair didn't stay.
Okay.
Or like...
I don't remember.
Or there wasn't a chair, because sometimes that happens. Like, a wrestling match will have a chair under a ring for later use, and somebody else used it or moved it or what have you, and like, there's no chair. That's all right. Kick to the gut, power.
Yeah, there are so many great stories. Happens. So many great stories that you guys share. I mean, I just love to be a fly on the wall, sit here with your garage beer and taking a sip and listen to you guys reminisce about stories. I mean, It's crazy.
What's fun about that particular night, that was another promoter, similar to Chad. That was a very successful show, probably like 400 people there that night. And the promoter brought in a tag team from Canada, like the Buffalo, New York, just on the other side, Niagara Falls area of Canada, called the All-Nighters. And, they would, go on to have long careers and do some things. And
do we know where they are nowadays? Or no?
I don't.
Okay.
But
if you're out there.
I'm trying to remember their names, but if anybody remembers the Canadian tag team, the All-Nighters, this is probably from 2003, 2004.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. Yeah.
But, I remember them being on the show.
Okay.
As well. I want to say one of them, and maybe I'm wrong, but used to date Beth Phoenix or brought Beth Phoenix into the wrestling business.
Okay.
Perhaps, or trained her or trained with her. So that was a connection. So, and that's probably some of the best part of the pro wrestling business is you just meet people and you have friends and friends of friends and that brotherhood and some of the sad stuff. Recently, there was a Chicago wrestler. So everybody's heard of the Chicago Steel Domain Wrestling School. That's the school. It was ran by two independent wrestlers named Danny Dominion and Ace Steel. Ace Steel was a former Ring of Honor tag team champion. He was a WWE coach for NXT, and he was a AEW producer that was involved in that famous brawl with CM Punk and the Young Bucks, and Ace got fired. Well, Ace and Danny ran this school called the Steel Domain on LaGrange Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, and their two most famous students were CM Punk and Colt Cabana. And the gentleman that was probably their third most famous student to come out of that school was a guy who had probably about a 15-year career. He was called the underwear model Eric Priest. His real name was Mike, was a good dude, very buff, very ripped, wrestled in Wisconsin a lot, had a lot of WWE extra work.
When you were running shows, you got a chance to book him a few times too, right?
I did. When we ran Mercury One Wrestling, that was around the time we were booking Cabana a lot. We were using him in a tag team kind of thing. And good guy, recently moved to Arizona. And Mike lost his life recently in a motorcycle accident. Was a big motorcycle guy. And Mike has a young son who's going to be a sophomore, junior in high school. His name's Max, and they started a GoFundMe for Max with Mike passing. So we've got the link here. We'll drop that in the comments. But if you got an extra couple bucks, or if you've ever had a chance to see the underwear model Eric Priest in action, as many Midwest independent wrestling fans have over the years, skip a coffee and send $5 Max's way.
Yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Very cool stuff to hear from you guys. Like you said, it's the brotherhood, the sisterhood. There's stories on top of stories. We could do, I swear, like 100 episodes of these. This is just like a sliver. This is just like a piece of pepperoni on that pizza that you are telling us for the stories that you guys have.
There will be more in the future.
Yes.
If the viewers find this interesting and they like it, we'll do more. So let us know what you think in the comments and give us a like and whatever it is you do on the interwebs these days, kids. So
we transition from story time to true or false time. True or false, Ultimate Wrestling Trivia.
Welcome, one and all. We're here for a little true or false, 3 strikes and you're out. We've got Angelo Stefano on the left, the amazing Devon on the right. We're going to play true or false. I'm going to ask you a question. You tell me true or false, and 3 strikes and you are out, and thus the loser of the game. So today's contest will be Elimination Chamber winners.
So winners of the WWE Elimination Chamber match that has been taking place all the way back since 2002. So, Mr. Angelo Stefano, has Mr. HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, has he won an Elimination Chamber match? He says false. He is wrong. He is the first winner ever.
Lies.
Angelo Stefano
Brown
starts
tights.
it off with a big swing and a miss.
Strike one.
Lies.
Devon, we're going to go with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair.
False.
That is correct. She has never won an Elimination Chamber match. Mr. Stefano.
Swing big. Swing big.
Asuka.
Mmm.
Oh, strike two. Asuka is a winner.
Why are you asking me women's questions?
Oh my gosh.
Devon. Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. Let me pull a page out of Stefano.
Oh, that is wrong.
What? Ah! I didn't really want to get it wrong. Hey, pressure's on. You could be out
Two
here.
strikes to one.
Oh, man.
Okay, Stefano. The newly minted Hall of Fame Triple H. The game. The King of Kings. Triple H. Has he won an Elimination Chamber? Okay. Triple H has won not just one Elimination Chamber, not just two, not three.
What?
But he has won four Elimination Chambers. Four championships in the Elimination Chamber. That's three strikes for Mr. Stefano.
Where?
We call that strike one, strike two, strike three looking. Do you even bat, bro? Jesus. Wow.
Man.
Wow. All right. So Devon, end us on a make.
All right.
Ryback. That is wrong.
No, what?
Ryback is the
I'm
winner.
still taking the belt. I still won. All right. Look who got the belt there. True or false game. It's always fun to play here on the channel. Before we exit stage left, we recently had a chance to talk to a friend of the program, none other than Swoggle. He's got some trivia for you right now.
I won the WWE Cruiserweight Championship in the Great American Bash 2007 by pinning who?
All right, that is some trivia from the man, the myth, the legend, Swoggle. If you know it, drop it in the comments. And plus, if you have any stories, did you run across a pro wrestler? You got a story? Feel free to share. We would love to hear from you. And we will have plenty more episodes where you guys can share your stories and throughout your careers, and just tremendous, fascinating stuff here today. I love it. Great episode, guys. Good stuff. With that being said, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. For Mike Mark, the man in the middle, Angelo Stefano, my name is Devon. We'll see you next Tuesday for Ultimate Wrestling Trivia, the show on YouTube.